my gosh, yes. Sorry, hold on. We have mushrooms in our yard and it's been driving us crazy, and yesterday we went out to spray it, but the mushrooms are still there, and our handyman just got here, so I think he's gonna like take care of the mushrooms because my mom texted him. So I'm gonna text her really quick to let her know that he's here. Sorry, 1 second. Hello, my name is Sydney, and today I'm going to be doing the first date book tag. Yay! I saw this video on a minimalist booktuber's channel, so I'll link her video down below, and I'll also link the creator of this tag's video. There are 10 questions, all revolving around the different types of dates you might have, so let's just get into it. Question number 1, the awkward first date. A book where something fell off. It wasn't a bad book, but it lacked that spark for you. The statistical probability of love at first sight, which I'm just realizing is like a romantic kind of book, and this is sort of a romantic kind of tag, which was totally unintentional, by the way. And it's about a girl who's flying to England for her father's wedding. In the airport, she meets this boy named Oliver, and it's just, you know, kind of following the course of their relationship over the course of 24 hours. Yeah, I thought this book was okay. I thought it was like a really fun concept, and it was also a very easy, quick read, but you know, it just didn't, like, it was fine. I wasn't really thinking about it too much after the book was over. It was just kind of like, okay, next book, you know? But I do think it would be a really good book to read, like if you're in a reading slump or anything like that, or you just want something that's really quick, really easy to read. This is that book for you. Question number 2, The Cheap First Date. A book that turned out less than what you were expecting. Untamed by A.G. Howard. This is part of the Splintered series. After the trilogy, this is like a sort of epilogue / short story collection. This whole series is sort of like a retelling of Wonderland. This character, she's a descendant of the original Alice. Wonderland is real. Alice was not crazy, even though people thought she was. This series does have a love triangle. The way it's treated in this book, I wasn't a huge fan of. I really don't want to spoil it for you, but so what I'll do is this. Once I put the book down, I'm done spoiling you. But I just want to say this part really quick. You can mute me in the meantime. If you have no interest in reading the book, or if you've already read this book, then you can keep watching. So like I said, there's a love triangle in this book. One of her love interests is Immortal. He's the Mad Hatter character. Her other love interest is her neighbor, her best friend, who she's known for like almost her entire life. So at the end of the series, she ends up picking her neighbor. The epilogue shows how once her husband has died because they've grown old, he's dead. She makes this whole plan with the characters of Wonderland. They're basically gonna like take her body, take her soul or whatever, and take it to Wonderland, where she's going to be young forever with the other guy. It just kind of like wasn't fair for the original guy, and he agreed to this plan, so I didn't really like that. Question number 3, The Well-Prepared First Date. A book that turned out better than you expected. So for me, that is With Malice by Eileen Cook. And I read this last summer after Ariel Bassett, another booktuber. She talked about how stressful this book was. Like just reading it, you were like so stressed out because of the things that were happening. I compare it to the Amanda Knox trial. She's living in Italy, and then her friend dies, and in a mysterious circumstance, and so she comes back. The story starts when she's like in a hospital and she doesn't have any memory of the event. The whole book you're trying to figure out, did she do it or not? Very stressful book. I agree with Ariel on that point. You should go into it just kind of not knowing a whole lot. But I would definitely say that this is a very good book. It's very suspenseful. It's very quick and fast paced. Question number 4, Hot But Dumb. A pretty book that's not so hot on the inside. For that, I'm going to go with Empire of Storms by Sarah J. Maas. This is the 5th book in her Throne of Glass series, which follows Selena Sardothian. She's an assassin. There's kingdoms, there's princes, there's high fae, people with abilities. It's a really good series. I really like the first 3 books. The 4th book kind of was like okay for me. This book, however, while I did like a few scenes, there was just like some other parts of it that were kind of like I was cringing quite a bit. I was trying not to laugh because it's one of those things where it's not supposed to be funny, but it's kind of funny. So but the cover is very pretty, isn't it? It's a very cool cover. The whole series has great covers, but you know, yeah, that's enough of that. Question number 6, Speed Dating. A book you read super fast. Haha! To All the Boys I Loved Before by Jenny Han. This book is a trilogy now. There wasn't supposed to be a 3rd book, but then she just kind of like said, hey, there's gonna be a 3rd book. And so that came out in the spring. I just finished reading that like last week. Fantastic, by the way. This is the 1st book in the trilogy, and it's about a girl named Lara Jean. She's Korean American. She lives with her family. Her mother passed away before the story even started. and she left her a hat box, and inside this hat box she keeps letters which she has written to all the boys that she's loved before in her life. One day all those letters get mailed out to the different boys, and they all start finding out how she really felt about them, and then it follows like a love story between her and one of the characters. This is such a sweet little book. It makes you feel really good. It's very cozy. She bakes a lot. She loves fashion. Her little sister Kitty is a trip. Like, she's like 9 or 10. She speaks her mind and she's really funny. It's all about family. It's all about friends and relationships. The moment I finished reading this book, it was like 5 o'clock on a Sunday afternoon or evening. I immediately put on some clothes or put on some like decent clothes, drove out to Barnes & Noble's, got the second book, and started reading it that night because it was so good. And also it kind of ends sort of on a cliffhanger. So yeah. Question number 7. The Rebound. A book you read too soon after a book hangover and it kind of ruined the book for you. So first, for all you non-readers out there, let me just define a book hangover. It's when you read a book that was so good that you just can't stop thinking about it, and so basically any other book that comes after it just doesn't quite compare, if you can even get yourself to read another book after it, because you're just still feeling all the feels from that book. So first of all, the book that I had the book hangover from would be A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J. Maas, which I read pretty soon after it came out, so like May of 2016. It was fantastic. One of my favorite books ever. One of the books that I read after that was The Infinite Moment of Us by Lauren Miracle. It's like a romance kind of story, young adult, between these two students, or these two kids who are about to graduate. I don't remember very much about it. I just know that it was not what I was expecting. A little bit more intense than I was expecting. I was like, okay. But just having read it after that book, I was still trying to find the next book that was going to get me out of that reading slump, because I was in a reading slump for like a whole year. Like, I only just got out of it this past couple of weeks with the booktubeathon, and even then I'm not so sure. This book just didn't quite live up to me for that. Why weren't you as good? Question number 8. The Overly Enthusiastic Date. A book that felt like it was trying too hard. Here, I have a book that perfectly fits this question to a T. It's like the question was designed for this book, okay? And that is Never Always Sometimes by Adi Al-Said. This book is about 2 or 3 friends, I don't remember, and they're in high school, of course, like all the kids are. They make a list like right before they start high school. Here are all the cliche things, high school things that we're not going to do. We're not going to go to prom. We're not going to get our page dedicated to us in the yearbook. We're not going to attend a party at these guys' house. We'll never dye our hair or color the rainbow. Like, they make a list of 10 things. And like, I thought this was a really cool premise. Like, okay, they're not going to do these things, right? But then they end up realizing that they've missed out on a whole bunch of high school experiences because they've not done these things. So like their last year of high school, they decide, screw the list, we're going to do all the things. It felt like the writer was trying too hard to make these characters sound like high school characters, I guess. They were trying not to be cliche, but they were still cliche, so it's kind of ironic at that. I heard someone say that this novel kind of seemed to, like, it was like the author was trying to copy the John Green style. Yeah, I kind of agree, where he's trying to steal that high school clever sort of dialogue style. It wasn't working for me. It was just trying way too hard. So question number 9, The Perfect First Date. A book that did all the right things for you. Where Things Come Back by John Corey Whaley. I read this book actually for when I took a young adult creative writing class in college. I didn't expect to like it as much as I did. There's like a few different things going on in this book. There's 2 different points of view. You know, whenever you have 2 different points of view, I always wonder, how are these points of view going to connect in the end? And they start in such separate places that I'm like, there's no way these 2 storylines can come together. But like, it's a pretty amazing book. In one storyline, it's about this kid. It says like everything he knows about his small town suddenly changes. The whole town becomes obsessed with this bird that was thought to be extinct, but all of a sudden it comes back. And then his brother just like disappears all of a sudden. His family is sort of starting to fall apart. The other storyline, I think it deals like a college kid or something. A little bit preachy at some parts. Sometimes the theme and the lesson is like overtly stated. It's not so bad. It's fine. It's a really good book. I recommend it. Yeah. And question number 10. The Humiliating First Date. Book you're embarrassed to admit you liked / embarrassed to see reading in public for whatever reason. I don't have an answer to this question because I'm just like, you know, it's a book. Who cares what you're reading? Most people have probably never even heard of that book if they see you with it, so it's like, how can they make judgments? Well, I don't see why you should be embarrassed to be reading. So that was the first date book tag. Thank you so much for watching. Down in the comments, let me know what your perfect first date book is. What book did everything right for you? Thank you guys so much for watching. Give this video a like, hit subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!